Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master, and today we're diving deep into the storm brewing in House of David Season 2. Episode 7 is right around the corner, and though the title's still under wraps, one thing's for sure. It's about to change everything. After the chaos and betrayal of Episode 6, the Kingdom of Israel stands on the edge of collapse. Saul's paranoia is spiraling. David's victories have made him a target, and every alliance inside the palace is starting to crack. So let's break down all the biggest predictions, hidden clues, and biblical parallels that might shape the episode where David's rise becomes Saul's downfall. The Storm After the Fire. House of David Season 2 Episode 7 drops on November 9th, 2025. And though the title remains a mystery, one thing's clear. This is the calm before the storm that explodes in the finale. After the fiery chaos of Episode 6, Forged in Fire, Israel's throne is cracked. Alliances are splintering, and David's destiny is about to collide head-on with Saul's downfall. Episode 7 isn't just a follow-up. It's the moment when every victory turns into exile, every friendship becomes a test, and every prophecy begins to burn. Picking up the pieces. Episode 6 ended with David's daring strike on the Philistine Forge, a mission that proved his courage, but also poured gasoline on Saul's jealousy. The court now chants David's name louder than the king's, and Saul's pride has turned into full-blown paranoia. When Episode 7 opens, we'll likely see the immediate fallout. Saul's mood will be volatile. No more veiled hostility or subtle tension. He's crossed the line between suspicion and obsession, and after the spectacle of David's latest victory, the palace can no longer contain both men. The people adore David, the army respects him, and Saul's fear is morphing into rage. The throne room has become a powder keg, one spark away from war. Saul's descent into darkness. This episode will probably plunge straight into Saul's deteriorating mind. The whispers of demons, the haunting echoes of the crowd chanting David's name, and the crushing fear of divine rejection, all will be front and center. From the earliest teasers, we know Saul's visions are getting worse. He's begun hearing the voice that took his crown. Episode 7 could show those visions intensify, maybe even manifesting as hallucinations that blur the line between faith and madness. In the scriptures, Saul hurls his spirit David twice. The series has already set up the first attempt. Episode 7 could dramatize the second, but this time in front of witnesses. That public act of violence would signal the irreversible breakdown of royal order and set the stage for David's flight. This is Saul's point of no return. The chosen king becomes the cursed one, consumed by jealousy of his own successor. David on the edge. David's arc in Episode 7 will revolve around realization that no amount of loyalty or service will save him. He's become a symbol too powerful to be tolerated. We'll likely see him returning from the Forge mission expecting celebration, only to sense the danger pulsing through the palace walls. Saul's smiles have turned sharp. Courtiers whisper behind tapestries, and even the guards' eyes linger too long on their swords. David's intuition tells him the storm is coming. He starts preparing quietly, gathering allies, watching the exits, listening to the servants who overhear everything. A key moment might echo 1 Samuel 18-19, where Saul orders David's death in secret, forcing him to choose between obedience and survival. This will be the moral crucible of Episode 7. Can David flee without sinning against the king he still reveres?
Jonathan's impossible choice. Every episode so far has shown Jonathan torn between his father and his friend. Episode 7 will push that torment to its peak. When Jonathan learns of Saul's plan to eliminate David, his soul fractures. The man raised to inherit the crown now faces the prophecy that the crown will pass to another, and yet that other is the brother of his heart. The midnight meeting teased since Episode 5 may finally happen, a quiet encounter in the armory or garden where Jonathan warns David of the impending betrayal. Whether through a coded message or a whispered confession, he'll give David the truth. Saul wants you dead. That moment will be devastating. Jonathan knows that by saving David, he's surrendering his own future. but he does it anyway, because friendship to him outweighs kingship. Expect the writing here to be intimate and heart-shattering, the kind of dialogue that becomes the emotional spine of the entire series. Michal's defiance. Jonathan isn't the only one torn between blood and love. Saul's daughter, Michal, faces her own crucible in episode 7. Her marriage to David was meant to bind him to Saul's house, but it's becoming the very bond that threatens it. When Saul's assassins come knocking, Michal becomes the key to David's survival. In the biblical account, she helps him escape through a window and deceives the guards. The visuals of that escape, torches, echoing footsteps, Michal's trembling hands, will be some of the most gripping of the season. This act will not only mark her as David's savior, but also as Saul's enemy. From that point on, her fate will be tied to David's exile. The court collapses. While David flees into the night, the royal household implodes. Ahinoam's scheming backfires spectacularly. The plan she planted to test David's loyalty has instead exposed Saul's instability to the entire court. The nobles whisper that the king has lost favor with God. The servants fear for their lives, and the queen who once pulled the strings finds herself isolated. Saul, furious and humiliated, turns his rage on his own family. He strips Ahinoam of her authority and confines her to her chambers. Her son Ishbosheth gloats. Jonathan stands in quiet shame, and Merab watches in silence as her mother's power crumbles. These fractures are more than family drama. They're the early rumblings of the civil war to come. Episode 7 will lay the groundwork for a kingdom divided between Saul's heirs and David's followers. The prophetic undercurrent. Even from afar, the prophet Samuel's presence will loom large. In the chaos of Saul's unraveling, Samuel will likely sense that the divine tide has shifted. Perhaps we'll see a small, meditative scene of the old prophet waking in the night, praying over a clay jar of oil, whispering to the unseen, "The Lord has chosen his king, though he sleeps among the caves." He may send a messenger or disciple to deliver this cryptic blessing to David, a reminder that exile isn't the end of the promise, only the beginning. It's the quiet counterpoint to Saul's rage, the calm voice of destiny amid the storm of madness.
The flight into the wilderness. Episode 7's climax will almost certainly depict David's first night as a fugitive. Once outside Gibeah's walls, he'll be hunted, wounded, and utterly alone. But in that desolation, his legend begins. Following 1 Samuel 22, we may see David reaching the cave of Adullam, where the broken and desperate gather to him, the distressed, indebted, and discontented. These outcasts, forged by hardship, will become his first army. The visual contrast will be striking. Saul's marble palace drenched in torchlight versus David's ragtag band huddled by the flicker of a campfire. One kingdom dying, another being born. The episode could close on a haunting parallel. Saul standing atop Gibeah's battlements at dawn, clutching his spear, whispering the bitter line that seals his madness. Is this not David, the king of the land? Below, hundreds of torches snake through the valley. Saul's army, setting out on the hunt, fade to black. What episode 7 sets up. The fallout from episode 7 will ripple across the next season. Saul's hunt. Episode 8 will likely open with Saul's relentless pursuit escalating into open warfare. David's band of brothers. His followers will evolve from refugees into warriors, the seeds of Israel's future army. Prophetic fulfillment. Samuel's blessing ensures David's path is divinely guided, even in exile. Court intrigue. Ahinoam's disgrace and Merab's bitterness will fester, shaping the political tensions that continue after Saul's death. The episode's tone will balance tragedy and triumph, the heartbreak of losing everything and the spark of destiny being kindled in the ashes. The Fire That Still Burns. Though the forge of Episode 6 has gone dark, its symbolism lingers. That literal fire forged Israel's greatest warrior. Episode 7 will forge its fugitive king. By the end of this episode, David will have lost his home, his position, and his safety. But he'll gain something far greater: the loyalty of the people, the protection of prophecy, and the unbreakable faith that defines his legacy. Saul, meanwhile, will have everything a man could desire: power, wealth, a throne, and yet nothing he can hold on to. That's the tragedy at the heart of this story. Two men anointed by the same God, one clinging to his crown, the other walking into the wilderness. One burning in pride, the other purified by exile. Our nerdy thoughts. House of David Season 2, Episode 7 will be the crucible that shapes everything that follows. A haunting, emotional, and prophetic turning point where kings are tested, friendships are torn, and the path to destiny is paved with loss. When the finale arrives a week later, the question won't be who will rule, but who will remain faithful in the fire that still burns.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.